Hey all! Welcome to my guide for Bard, the first support class in Lost Ark. This is a beginner level guide video for new players who just got into the game, or all players who wants to better their performance. Why play Bard? Bard is a perfect match for those who want to play a critical role in completing the raid. Like any other RPGs, we lack supports and they are essential to clear the raid. So you will always be welcomed in the party, unless you have a big problem in your settings and equipments. Bard has abilities to protect, heal, and damage boost her party members. Especially, she is a high-risk, high-return class when compared to other support classes in the game. Your choices and judgments will matter in the game, as Bards specialize in some traits. She is not an all-round player. She can either choose to get as defensive as she can or as aggressive as she can. So you will be rewarded with a lot of efficacy when you play her well. But that means you will have tons of things to consider to reach for her full potential. And it means you will be hella busy during the combat. It also means that you will need to purchase and set up several presets and settings for high aims. But I can assure you that if you are one of those folks who love to play support but seeks high potential instead of boring clicks and taps, she is just the right choice for you. Settings, combat status. Bard has two choices, swiftness or specialization. Swiftness lets her move and cast skills faster and reduces skill cooldowns. Specialization increases her identity skills to heal and damage boost the party. But it is much better as a support to reduce cooldown and move fast so that you can offer your party members with endless protection and damage boosts. I would only recommend you to choose specialization if you have all level 10 gems that reduces skill cooldown and if you are in a static party. Swiftness Bard outplays specialization Bard in utility and convenience. So please refrain from choosing spec Bard unless you are going to make Bard as your main character, you are willing to invest with 8-10 level cooldown gems, and your static member wants the thick damage boost that only spec Bard can offer. Setting, skills. We can divide Bard skills with these categories: Serenade skill, Awakening skill, Brand skill, Damage boost skill, Shield and Protection skill, Serenade meter fillers, and other utility skills. The biggest advantage of Bard is that she can flexibly choose from a number of skill and engraving settings to specialize in certain traits. So by switching playstyles, though it is a small change, you would not find it too repetitive and boring. In the same time, ironically, this is also her biggest disadvantage. There is no such one universal setting for her. So she has to pay extra gold and crystals to unlock presets and swap accessories and gems. Good news is that only few of them are optional ones that depends on your choices. Others will be the same throughout all settings. First, Serenade skills. These two skills are there for you in the first place as it is the identity and the core of the class design. The one on the left is Serenade of Courage that increases your party's damage. The other one on the right is Serenade of Salvation that heals your party. To use these skills, you need what we call bubbles. Bubbles are these 3 identity gauge bars in the center and are also called a Serenade meter. When you hit your enemies with your skills, these bubbles will fill up and be colored in blue. And your Serenade skills will consume all of your filled bubbles. Incomplete bubbles in yellow color will not be consumed. Second, Awakening skill. All classes in Lost Ark has 2 Awakening skills. Supports, in particular, has 1 support skill and 1 damage skill. Bard's support Awakening skill is Symphonia. This gives huge amount of shield that lasts for 10 seconds to all party members within 24 meters and fills 1 bubble. It also inflicts these utility deduction to the enemies hit by this skill, although it is not as substantial as the shield and bubble. This is because all bosses will be immune to the attack and move speed reduction, and because the skill gives your party excessive amount of shield, so the attack power reduction does not quite matter. But it may matter to the other party, as they will take 30% less damage. Bard's dealing Awakening skill is Oratorio. This is not used in party plays, so you will not need to know that much. But it is a dealing skill that Bards may use in solo plays to deal and increase her chances to hit a critical attack. Third, Brand skills. These skills imbue note brands that lets your party damage 10% more to the target. 10% is huge, and thus it is super important for you to make sure that this branding does not cut off during combat. You can check the status of your branding with 2 ways. You can either look above the boss's head for a note icon, or you can look below the boss's health bar for this red icon. Here are 3 skills that most of the bards use. You choose 2 or 1 of them. There are also 3 more skills that does have branding effects, but we either do not use them or we use them for other purposes. Fourth, damage boost skills. These 2 skills are essential skills that bards use in all raids. It increases all party members' attack power depending on bard's attack power. Fifth, shield and protection. These skills protect you and your party members with shields and incoming damage reductions. Serenade meter fillers. These skills considerably fills your bubbles. Other utility skills. These skills are used for stagger or counter gimmicks. Now I'll suggest you some skill settings. Symphonia, Heavenly Tune, Sonic Vibration, Guardian Tune, Wind of Music, and Prelude of Storm are your essential skills that you're always going to take with you throughout all raids. Similarly, you are also going to always take brand skills with you, but you will choose 1 or 2 from Sound Shock, Harp of Rhythm, and Sonatina. Then you will have 1 to 2 space left. So you will take either Rhythm Buckshot, Stigma, Rhapsody of Light, or Soundholic with you. These are the skill presets I use. Notice that I first chose what my main branding skill is and then checked whether I needed a backup branding skill in case I missed the skill or got cancelled. Then I filled left spaces in with optional skills. Before you enter the raid, you should ask yourself whether a failure of certain patterns lead to a raid wipe or deaths. If not, just go with the Serenade meter setting. If the raid is somewhat difficult, then think of what utility you need to bring among stagger, counter, destruction, and protection. If the raid is very challenging to the point you need to bring 2 utilities, then take 1 brand skill instead of 2 and pick between stag and save setting or save and counter setting. Setting, Engravings. Bard has a lot of options to choose from when it comes to engravings. Some of them are essential and some of them are optional. You will always need to include the essential engravings and then choose from the optional ones. Let's look at the essential ones. Awakening is an essential engraving that all supports take with them. It dramatically reduces Awakening skill cooldown and gives extra chances to use them. You must fully activate the engraving with level 3. Desperate Salvation is a Bard class exclusive engraving that increases her identity skill named Serenade of Salvation. It lets you give big heal when your healing identity skill ends. It is her main source of healing, so please make sure you fully activate the engraving. Expert is another engraving that increases your ability to heal and shield you and your party. Most of the dealer's engravings have penalties to increase the deal, like more damage taken and less healing received. So, again, make sure you master this engraving. The last essential engraving is Heavy Armor. This engraving lets you tank damages from enemies and bosses. It is super important for supports to survive the raid for the safety of the dealers. Bard's class design requires her to stay near the boss to hit her skills and fill her identity gauge. So her postician is too risky to go without this engraving. So if you are a beginner level Bard, fully activate Heavy Armor with level 3. But if you are a veteran player who are confident to dodge boss attacks, you can choose to activate level 1 or 2. Now let's dive into the optional ones. Depending on your setting, you are going to choose 1 or 2 from these engravings. Max MP increase literally increases your max mana. Because Bard has big mana consumption and short skill cooldowns, you will be finding yourself doing nothing and waiting for mana to recover if you do not take this engraving with you. So you will need to choose this engraving as far as you can so that you do not find yourself doing nothing and waiting for your mana to recover during combat. But, in certain occasions, you will have no choice but to replace this engraving since it demands high stagger and survival. In this case, you could use mana-related runes, bracelets, elixirs and food to make up for the reduced max MP. Vital Point Hit increases your ability to stagger the boss. There will always be a stagger gauge or gimmick in every raids. So this engraving lets you carry the raid with high stagger abilities and let other party members to save their skills for damage. Depending on the raid and the team comp, you may either take this engraving with you or not. Spirit Absorption increases your move and attack speed. This is an engraving that spec bards use to make up for their low swiftness stat. You will either use level 2 or level 3 depending on your level of Heavy Armor engraving. Crisis Evasion is the last option that Bard seldom uses. It lets you survive from fatal damage that would have killed you otherwise. Unless you're in an experienced reclear party, your DPS would not be able to survive and clear the raid without you. So your death is almost equal to another try. So it is crucial for you to stay alive throughout the game. And this engraving is an insurance, backup plan for those unwanted mistakes. Unlike other engravings, you will only need to activate level 1 since it is not worth it to master this engraving. And you will not be able to find enough spare space to use this engraving unless you level your gear up over 1540. Setting, Engravings continued. If you are using Express Events engraving support or if you are a newbie under gear level 1540 using relic accessories, you have 2 options. Your main setting will be the one with max MP increase, as bards always suffocate with mana shortage. So you should choose the latter one with Vital Point Hit, only if your team comp sucks in stagger but the raid requires high stagger. Now if you are the Bard expert and you are over 1540 and are able to buy ancient accessories, you have a lot of options. If you are really able to survive and dodge bosses' attacks and have high aims to be an all-round player, then here's the setting for you. You will only take level 1 Heavy Armor with you and instead use both max MP increase and Vital Point Hit. I really recommend this one, as it is the most universal setting for bards in all raids. But if you are afraid of dying, which is definitely normal and fine, then here are some options for you. But in this case, you are either going to give up mana or high stagger. If you think that crisis evasion is not necessary, then consider this setting. You will already have maximum move speed as full swift bard, but you will not have maximum attack speed without Heavenly Tunes buff. So Spirit Absorption will make up for this so that you don't get cancelled when casting your skills. The last two option is mainly for the full spec bards. I am sure that you now know how to choose from max MP increase and vital point hit. All you now need to consider is whether you need level 1 heavy armor or 2. If you are confident in survival, then choose level 1 heavy armor and level 3 spirit absorption. If not, choose level 2 heavy armor and level 2 spirit absorption. Finally, I will now show you some list of combinations of skill settings and engraving settings. I wrote down some explanation on what raid gate I personally have been or will use it in. So pause if you need to look into it. Thanks for watching and I hope to see you in Arkesia.